Kevin Costner seemed to have the perfect marriage. 18 years with Christine Baumgartner, 3 beautiful children, a massive ranch in Colorado. But in February 2023, everything changed. Christine found something hidden in Kevin's car that made her file for divorce just 2 months later. It wasn't another woman's number. It wasn't gambling receipts. It was something much worse that revealed a secret Kevin had been hiding for years. What she discovered in that car seat explains why she demanded $248,000 monthly in child support, and why she refused to explain her actions in court. Kevin Costner came into the world on January 18, 1955, in Linwood, California, as the youngest of 3 boys, though one of his brothers never made it past birth. That loss stayed in the house like a quiet shadow. His parents, William and Sharon, worked hard just to keep the lights on. William handled wires for a living and slowly climbed his way into a utilities job, while Sharon helped families as a welfare worker. Money was always tight, and the family kept moving every time William's job demanded it. Those moves sent Kevin through places like Compton during the late 1950s and early 1960s, where rough streets and real fights were normal. He was small, only 5'2" for most of his early teens, and bullies noticed. Every time he changed schools, he felt like he had to rebuild himself from scratch, never staying long enough to form roots. He grew up in a strict Baptist home, carrying a mix of German, Irish, Scottish, Welsh, and Cherokee blood, but he mostly carried the weight of instability. At Cabrillo Middle School and then Villa Park High, he slid through the hallways feeling invisible, choosing football and choir because they offered a place to stand without sinking. When he was 7, he watched how the West was won in 1962, and something about those wide-open worlds hit him harder than anything in his real life. He dreamed about riding out of Compton and into a different life. He even saw real fistfights on his street that felt like scenes from a movie. And those moments started shaping the serious roles he would later play, without him ever saying much about it. By the time he reached Villa Park High School, he still felt like he was trying to catch up to everyone else. 5'2", shy, unsure. While other kids found their confidence, he wrote small poems about feeling lost, hiding them where no one could see. He kept moving, from Compton to Orange County, then Ventura and Visalia, never staying anywhere long enough to call it home. He played baseball, marched in the band at Menta Whitney High, then landed at Villa Park again, where he finally graduated in 1973. He was never the standout student or the star athlete, but he had this quiet persistence in him, a mix of creativity and survival that nobody around him fully understood. He went on to California State University, Fullerton, picking marketing because it felt safe. But his life changed in 1975 when he got on a flight and ended up sitting next to Richard Burton. Burton didn't say much, but what he did say mattered. He told Kevin he had something in him, something that could work on a screen. That single conversation cracked a door open in Kevin's mind. He joined a community theater group even though he had no training at all. He juggled classes and stage rehearsals, finally graduating in 1978 with his business degree, though acting had already taken over his thoughts. His first paying job came in 1981 with Sizzle Beach, USA, where he earned $250 for weeks of shooting. He was barely on the screen, but it was enough to make him believe he could stay in Hollywood if he found a way to survive long enough. He married his college sweetheart Cindy Silva in 1978 when he was 23. Their daughter Annie was born in 1984, but the early years were rough. Acting didn't pay the bills, and Kevin took whatever tiny roles he could get, like a trucker in Night Shift in 1982. He worked backstage, ran lights, helped with sets, anything that brought in cash. The money never stretched far enough, and Cindy carried the weight more than she should have. Still, Kevin never gave up. Every small role gave him practice, and every rejection sharpened his resolve. He faced dozens of rejections, including the time he cut his hair for an audition only to lose the role anyway. But he kept going. He worked in films like Chasing Dreams in 1982 and Table for Five in 1983, playing small characters who still felt real because he improvised and added little touches that made them human. Slowly, people noticed his everyman style, the way he acted like someone you might know in real life. This honesty helped him stand out, even when the roles were tiny. Then came one of the strangest moments of his early career. In 1983, he auditioned for The Bodyguard, long before the movie was released in 1992. The audition involved a drowning scene, and something went wrong. An actress started going under, and Kevin had to dive in and pull her out for real. It was almost fatal. That day showed him how dangerous the industry could be, but it also made him even more determined. He wasn't going to let anything scare him out of the dream he'd begun to chase. By 1985, after surviving years of tiny roles and disappointing auditions, he formed a production company with friends. They were broke, but they were hungry for control. Kevin wanted to make westerns like the ones he loved as a kid. He spent late nights thinking about the stories he would direct someday. That ambition, paired with his stubbornness, kept him moving forward while others quit around him. Everything changed in 1987. That year, Kevin Costner shot upward like a rocket. First came The Untouchables. He played Elliot Ness opposite Robert De Niro's Al Capone, and the film's $20 million budget delivered a $3 million payday straight into Kevin's hands. It was unheard of for someone still so new. The shoot was dangerous, especially the train explosion scene where several extras were burned. Kevin lost his temper over the lack of safety and nearly walked off the project. But when the film made $106 million worldwide, everything shifted. Kevin Costner was suddenly a name people recognized. That same year, No Way Out hit theaters. The thriller cost $15 million to make and earned $35.5 million in the United States, which equals about $102 million today. The twist ending stunned the audience and helped solidify Kevin's place at the top. But the shoot wasn't easy. Kevin clashed with Gene Hackman more than once. Their arguments became so heated that the director had to step in and mediate to keep things from blowing up completely. By the end of 1987, Kevin had 2 major hits in a row, and Hollywood was forced to take him seriously. Then came Bull Durham in 1988, where Kevin played Crash Davis. The movie cost $8 million and earned $50.8 million. His charm on the screen, especially opposite Susan Sarandon, made the film a classic. What audiences didn't know was that many of Kevin's famous lines, including the iconic "I believe in the soul" speech, were improvised. He was finally showing the world what he could do when he trusted his instincts. In 1989, Field of Dreams arrived. The idea of building a baseball field for ghosts sounded strange to everyone, but Kevin believed in it. The movie cost $15 million, but when the ending didn't work, Kevin paid for reshoots out of his own pocket because the studio refused. The film first opened in only 22 theaters and made only $531,346 in its opening. But word spread fast. Soon, it reached 84 million worldwide. That film turned him into something larger than a star. It made him a symbol of hope and belief. That same year, he received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Cameras flashed, crowds cheered, and his face was everywhere. But the spotlight at home was dimming. His marriage to Cindy was cracking. They had 3 children together, but fame took a toll neither of them could stop. Rumors of distance and infidelity spread. By 1994, their marriage ended. and Cindy received a settlement rumored to be around $80 million, one of the largest at that time. Kevin Costner walked into the 90s like he carried the whole decade on his shoulders. It started with Dances with Wolves in 1990, a film he believed in so much that he put $3 million of his own money into the $19 million budget. People called him crazy for risking his career on a 3-hour Western about a lonely Union lieutenant forming a bond with the Lakota Sioux. He pushed forward anyway. Filming stretched across 5 months on cold South Dakota plains, where blizzards froze cameras and crew hands stiffened in the wind. Costner hired Sioux elders to guide every detail, right down to language and ceremonies. All of that care showed when the movie came out. It earned 12 Oscar nominations in 1991 and won 7. Costner walked away with Best Picture and Best Director, becoming only the second person after Orson Welles to ever win both for a debut film. The movie made $424 million worldwide and changed Hollywood's view of native stories. It also changed Costner's life, setting him up as the man who could do anything. That rising wave swept others with him. Graham Greene, who played Kicking Bird, was still a name most people did not know before the movie. Costner wanted real indigenous actors, so Greene got his shot. His performance earned him an Oscar nomination, but the road there was brutal. A real buffalo stampede went wrong on set and injured crew members. The chaos almost shut down filming and drained more money from an already stretched budget. Costner refused to use tricks or effects. If a scene called for buffalo, he wanted real buffalo. The crew stood in freezing weather with limited supplies, waiting for storms to pass and animals to calm. Greene kept going, and when the film exploded worldwide, his career exploded too. Right after that, Costner stepped straight into Robin Hood in 1991. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, turned into a huge action event, especially its $48 million sword fight sequence near the end. Costner trained in archery for weeks, so dedicated that during a scene, an arrow flew off mark and hit a crew member, causing injuries and pausing production. Even with the accident and mixed reviews of his English accent, the movie pulled in more than $390 million worldwide. Alan Rickman stole scenes as the Sheriff of Nottingham, while Costner cemented himself as Hollywood's leading man of the moment. Then came JFK in 1991, a role that demanded more intensity than anything he had done. Oliver Stone let the camera roll while Costner delivered a 15-minute courtroom soliloquy, breaking down the Zapruder film. That speech became one of the movie's anchors. The movie stirred controversy because it mixed documented facts with speculation about the Kennedy assassination. Critics attacked it, historians debated it, but audiences flocked anyway. It earned $205 million and 8 Oscar nominations. Costner's performance pulled people into old questions with new energy. During this high, he made a choice that surprised everyone. He turned down Pretty Woman in 1990. He thought the romantic comedy would trap him in the wrong image, so he said no and focused on Dances with Wolves instead. That choice shaped his path. Success gave him confidence, but it also fed clashes with studios. He began demanding more control, pushing for rewrites and final cuts. The power struggles strained his relationships with producers who had once fought to work with him. Still, he kept winning roles, kept building momentum, and kept pushing the limits of how far he could go. By late 1992, Costner reached a peak that few actors ever touch. The Bodyguard opened on November 25, 1992, in 1,117 theaters and made $16.6 million in its first weekend. It climbed to $121.9 million in North America and $401 million worldwide. The soundtrack became a phenomenon, selling more than 18 million copies. Rumors swirled about him and Whitney Houston, but Costner stayed focused on the physical training and threat choreography that shaped his character. 2 Oscar nominations for Best Original Song followed, and the film locked his place at the top of global cinema. Next came A Perfect World in 1993. Costner played an escaped convict who bonds with a kidnapped boy, giving one of his most emotional performances. Clint Eastwood directed, and though they respected each other, tensions ran underneath. Costner wanted deeper layers in the script and pushed Eastwood hard. Some scenes were shot with doubles because of delays. The film made $104 million worldwide and earned Costner a Golden Globe nomination. Over time, it grew into a respected cult classic. Wyatt Earp arrived in 1994. It was Costner's $72 million passion project. He insisted on a real mustache, real locations, real gun choreography. The Dodge City shootouts stretched over 10 minutes in some scenes. The running time passed 3 hours, and critics groaned. Audiences struggled too, leading to a $25 million loss. Behind the scenes, Costner even tried to stop the rival film Tombstone from getting made. Hollywood noticed the rivalry and whispered about ego. Years later, the movie earned appreciation for its ambition, but at the time it marked the beginning of a downward slide. Even The Bodyguard brought its own tension. Costner and Whitney Houston clashed over rewrites and duets. Costner, acting as star and producer, believed the script needed sharper conflict, and his changes frustrated Houston and the studio. They pushed through the frustrations and delivered scenes that still stand out today, but the disagreements added another layer to his growing reputation as someone who fought hard for control. At home, things grew heavy. By 1994, his family lived in an Orange County mansion with his wife Cindy and their children Lily, Annie, and Joe. From the outside, it looked perfect. Inside, the strain was constant. Costner often worked near 100 hours a week, bouncing from sets to meetings to late-night editing sessions. Cindy struggled with his absences and the feeling that their family life came second to his career. The pressure pushed them further apart, setting up cracks that would widen later. By this time, critics whispered about overexposure. 3 major films in quick succession made him feel unavoidable. His next directing project would be Waterworld, and nobody knew that the movie would become a symbol of Hollywood excess. Still, Costner kept chasing big dreams. His ambition could lift him or sink him, but he refused to give up the chase. Waterworld in 1995 became the turning point. Planned as a $100 million film, it spiraled into a $175 million production after hurricanes tore apart sets in Hawaii. With marketing, the total crossed $230 million, the most expensive movie ever made at the time. A massive floating atoll weighing more than 1,000 tons had to be flown in piece by piece. Costner earned $250,000 per day, sparking jealousy and rumors of sabotage. Director Kevin Reynolds clashed with him in fights so intense that Reynolds quit the movie. Waterworld made $264 million worldwide, but expenses swallowed the profits, and the industry mocked it as Kevin's Gate. The stress burned bridges and left Costner exhausted. Then came The Postman in 1997. He directed, produced, and starred in the $80 million film. It opened on Christmas Day, right as Titanic filled every theater with crowds. The Postman earned only $17.6 million in the United States and $27 million worldwide. Reviews tore it apart. Its 177-minute running time pushed audiences away. Its box office collapse showed how far Costner had fallen since Wolves. In the middle of this downfall, tabloids jumped on another story. Costner and actress Bridget Rooney had a brief romance. She gave birth to their daughter Liam in November 1996, not long after his divorce from Cindy became final. The age gap, the timing, and the secrecy fueled headlines. Costner did not acknowledge the child until 2002, when a DNA test confirmed paternity. He eventually set up a trust fund, but remained mostly distant. The scandal damaged his public image even more. After Waterworld and The Postman, studios stepped back. He lost roles, including Air Force One, which producers handed to Harrison Ford instead. Costner stepped away from acting for a while, turned his attention to polo and environmental causes, and quietly waited for the industry's anger to fade. He returned with smaller projects like Tin Cup in 1996 and slowly rebuilt respect with films like 13 Days in 2000. His turnaround would not fully arrive until years later with Hidden Figures in 2016, and then the modern success of Yellowstone. 13 Days in 2000 let him show a different side. He played Kenny O'Donnell during the Cuban Missile Crisis. The film used real White House transcripts from ex-com meetings, and Costner studied original audio recordings to capture the tone of Kennedy's inner circle. The movie made $66 million worldwide. Not huge, but strong enough to restore confidence in his dramatic abilities. Open Range in 2003 brought him back behind the camera. He filmed alongside Robert Duvall in Canada on the Stoney Indian Reservation. Real cattle stampedes thundered past the crew. Mud, storms, and unpredictable weather shaped every day on set. Costner insisted on real horses, real dust, real grit. The movie earned $58 million and became a favorite among Western fans who loved its emotional honesty. 2 years later, he shifted to something lighter in The Upside of Anger in 2005. He played a retired baseball player turned radio host who falls for Joan Allen's character. Critics praised both performances, but audiences did not show up. It made $28.2 million worldwide on a $12 million budget. Even so, the role helped Costner move toward more character-driven work as Hollywood changed. Man of Steel in 2013 gave him another widely loved moment as Jonathan Kent. The movie made $668 million, and Costner's tornado sacrifice scene became one of its emotional anchors. Drawing on his own experiences with ranch life, he made the father-son bond feel real and grounded. Around the same time, a strange legal battle hit him. In 2012, Stephen Baldwin sued Costner for allegedly cheating him out of $13 million in a business deal involving oil spill cleanup devices created after the 2010 Deepwater Horizon disaster. The case dragged on until a jury rejected Baldwin's claim, but the publicity bruised Costner's image as a businessman. By 2013, he had settled into a quieter life with Christine Baumgartner, marrying her in 2004 after a brief split the year before. They built a family with their sons Caden, born in 2007, and Hayes in 2009, balancing Costner's work with time spent on their ranch. Kevin Costner stepped into Batman v Superman for only 2 minutes, yet those 2 minutes carried the weight of an entire lifetime. He showed up as Jonathan Kent, the quiet father who shaped Superman's idea of right and wrong long before capes and world saving. The scene was filmed in Louisiana on September 1, 2015, finished in a single day, but the calm in Costner's voice stayed with people long after the credits rolled. It felt like he whispered the film's theme into Clark's soul, while Ben Affleck's Batman stood in the same world with a darker heart. When the movie came out on March 23, 2016, and pulled in $874 million worldwide, fans still talked about that small father-son moment as if it was a secret truth hidden in a giant blockbuster. Critics called it one of the most touching scenes in superhero cinema, and in interviews, Costner said he was surprised that a short scene could leave such a deep mark. Studios kept the moment brief so the emotional hit would stay sharp, and that quiet choice helped shape the entire tone of the story. Hatfield's and McCoy's hit television in 2012, and suddenly everyone was talking about Kevin Costner again. The series threw him into muddy mountains and endless gunfire as Devil Anse Hatfield, and millions of viewers followed every step. The first episode reached 13.9 million viewers, and by the finale, it climbed to 14.3 million, turning it into the most watched scripted show on ad-supported cable at the time. Costner was 57 then, but still doing most of his own stunts, including long, brutal fight scenes that soaked him in mud for up to 12 hours a day. The production cost $20 million, and NBC earned about $8 million in ad fees. But the real payoff came when it swept the Emmys with 4 wins, including lead actor for Costner. Behind the scenes, cast members laughed about sinking into mud pits between takes. Yet Costner later admitted that the physical toll was heavy. Still, the audience numbers and awards made every exhausting moment feel worth it for him and for the History Channel, which had never seen anything like it. Yellowstone flipped Costner's life again, starting in 2018, turning him into the modern face of Western storytelling. For 5 seasons, he carried John Dutton across Montana's endless landscapes while performing his own horse riding scenes at age 68. The show exploded so fast that his salary climbed to $1.3 million an episode, giving him $18.2 million for Season 5 alone. Then everything fell apart. In 2023, he asked for $12 million for the second half of Season 5, but the studio pushed back with pay cut suggestions and creative disagreements. Tension grew until Costner said he would probably go to court if the deal was not honored. Production stalled, the finale was delayed, and suddenly this giant show cracked in the middle of its success. With a $15 million budget per episode, Costner's salary had become a giant weight in the negotiations. When the contract ended in 2024, fans were stunned. Trade magazines confirmed every number and every bit of behind-the-scenes conflict, turning his exit into one of the biggest television breakups of the decade. Then came Horizon, the dream he had carried since 1988. No studio wanted the version he believed in, not even when they offered deals that came in about $5 million short of what he needed. So he did the unthinkable. He took $38 million from his own pocket and mortgaged his land to help build a $100 million 4-part epic. The first chapter premiered at Cannes on May 19, 2024, and all the risk sat on his shoulders. When the domestic box office opened with only $12 million, disappointment hit hard. Critics said the film had ambition, but dragged in places, though some praised the emotional sweep. Warner Brothers released the first 2 chapters, but the last 2 remain unfunded. People compared this moment to Waterworld, a ghost that always follows Costner, yet he insists Horizon will continue. Even if he must carry it alone, he says he will finish what he started. In 2025, everything grew heavier when stunt double Devin Labella filed a lawsuit accusing Costner and his company of forcing her into an unscripted assault scene during the filming of Horizon Chapter 2 on May 2, 2023. She said there was no intimacy coordinator present, no warning, and that she felt trapped and ashamed. Costner's team denied everything, calling the claims false and personal. The courts refused to dismiss the lawsuit in October 2025 and allowed it to move forward. The union later confirmed that safety rules were broken and Labella was not rehired. News outlets ran with every detail, turning the set of Horizon into a battleground of statements and counterstatements. Labella asked for a public apology and safety reforms, and the case continues to move through the courts. Costner's personal life has always been just as dramatic. He married Cindy Silva in 1978, and they spent 16 years together raising 3 children: Annie in 1984, Lily in 1986, and Joe in 1988. Their marriage looked steady until 1994, when rumors of an affair shook everything apart. What came next was even more explosive. In 1996, Bridget Rooney said Costner was the father of her baby Liam. Costner denied it at first, but the DNA test proved it. He had not told Cindy about Liam until the test came back, and the revelation created a legal storm. He paid a reported $15 million settlement to avoid a long court fight, and the quiet family image he once had cracked open in public. In 1998, he met Christine Baumgartner at a charity event, and by 2002, they split for a short time because she wanted children, and he already had 4. They reconciled and married in 2004 on his ranch in Aspen. They had 3 more children: Hayden in 2007, Hayes in 2009, and Grace in 2010. Their life looked peaceful from the outside with polo games and ranch gatherings, yet behind closed doors, the long shoots for Yellowstone created deep strain. Court documents from later years revealed therapy sessions and emotional distance that wealth could not fix. Even with a net worth around $145 million, the problems between them kept growing. Costner eventually had 7 children, though for years fans only knew about 5. Liam, born in 1996, was kept secret until the DNA test forced the truth into public view. There were whispers of a brief connection in the 1990s with Naomi Irian as well, another situation he kept private for a long time. As his fame grew, he managed to hide parts of his family life until courts and paperwork brought them into the light. These stories revealed how complicated celebrity families can be when privacy collides with legal reality. The same wealth that looked like a shield later exposed every corner of his life. During his divorce, Baumgartner's handbag collection valued at over $100,000 appeared in legal filings. Reports detailed ranch expenses, luxury homes, and everything they had purchased together. Baumgartner argued he was not contributing fairly, and he claimed her spending was out of control. The divorce became a media show, with court documents showing their purchases like items on display. It reminded people that even families surrounded by money can break in painful ways once a marriage collapses. Things exploded publicly on May 1, 2023, when Baumgartner filed for divorce after 18 years of marriage, listing April 11th as their separation date. What shocked everyone was the discovery that she had bought a Porsche Cayenne worth more than $100,000 in February 2023 using joint funds. Costner's team pointed to this as the first sign she was preparing for the divorce. She refused to explain why she bought it, and the moment the filing hit the court, news outlets began digging into every detail. The smallest financial step suddenly looked like part of a hidden plan. It turned a private heartbreak into a national headline. The child support battle dragged all of this even deeper into public view. Costner offered $63,209 monthly, but Baumgartner demanded $248,000. After a 2-day hearing in September 2023, the judge accepted Costner's offer and based the decision on their finances and the needs of the children. The prenup became the center of the fight. Baumgartner used it to keep certain assets, while Costner's lawyers tried to challenge its fairness. They reached a full settlement in September 2023, and the divorce became official in February 2024. The financial twists did not end there. Court filings showed Baumgartner had taken $90,000 in cash advances and charged $25,000 in legal fees on a shared card. Costner argued she was draining joint accounts on purpose. Baumgartner denied this, yet the judge ordered her to repay $14,137 of his legal fees. The tabloids ran wild, turning every number into a headline. After the dust settled, Costner dated singer Jewel for a short time in late 2023. Baumgartner moved forward too, accepting a proposal from financier Josh Connor in January 2025 during a quiet moment on a Santa Barbara beach. Costner told the press he had no plans to marry again. He focused instead on his children and on rebuilding his life. Reporters noticed how this personal chapter echoed the themes in Horizon, where characters keep moving forward even after everything breaks around them.